Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th Canto, Chapter 17, text number 27. Tvam Shabdham Durmadam Nitva Mayagam Tilashashare Atmayoga Balenama Dharayishyami Aham Prajaha. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. You are very much puffed up with pride and have become almost insane. Presently you have assumed the form of a cow by your mystic powers. Nonetheless, I shall cut you into small pieces like grain, and I will uphold the entire population by my personal mystic powers. Purport. The earth informed King Pritu that if he destroyed her, he and his subjects would all fall down into the waters of Garbha ocean. King Pritu now replies to that point. Although the earth assumed the shape of a cow by her mystic powers in order to be saved from being killed by the king was aware of this fact and would not hesitate to cut her to pieces, just like small bits of grain. As far as the destruction of the citizens concerned, Maharaj Pritu maintained that he could uphold everyone by his mystic powers. He did not need the help of the earthly planet. Being the incarnation of Lord Vishnu, Pritu Maharaj possessed the power of Shankarshana, which is explained by the scientists as a power of gravitation. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is holding millions of planets in space without any support. Similarly, Pritu Maharaj would not have had any difficulty supporting all his citizens and himself in space without the help of the planet Earth. The Lord is known as Yogeshwara, master of all mystic powers. Consequently, the planet Earth was informed by the king that she need not worry about his standing without her help. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. So the conversation between Maharaj, Pritu Maharaj, the angry conversation, and Pritu Maharaj and Mother Earth is going on. Here Pritu Maharaj detects, he already knew, being the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that Mother Earth by her mystic powers appeared before Maharaj Pritu as a cow in order to invoke the sentiments of not killing a cow to be used to protect herself. If she took the form of a cow, as we saw all along in the earlier verses, she was pleading, you cannot kill a woman. How can you, the perfect ruler, do these things? In this way, after being chased by Maharaj Pritu, she stopped back and started this conversation. And here we see that Maharaj Pritu is saying, you have assumed the form of a cow by your mystic powers. Nonetheless, I shall cut you to pieces. In other words, you are saying, you cannot bewilder me by these tricks. And if you are threatened that you will, she had threatened Maharaj Pritu that if he destroyed the earth planet, then it will fall into the Garbhodaka ocean, and then the entire population will die. To that threat, Maharaj Pritu is saying that I will uphold the entire population by my personal mystic powers. You see. So earth informed King Pritu that if he destroyed her, he and his subjects would all fall down into the waters of Garbhodaka ocean. There is something like Pakistan telling, if you attack us, we'll go nuclear. all of us will go into Garbhodaka Ocean. Not only I will be destroyed, you will also be destroyed. King Pritu replies to that point. Although earth assumed the shape of a cow by her mystic powers in order to be saved from being killed by the king was aware of the fact and would not hesitate to cut her to pieces. So, when there is adharma, when there is violation of the laws of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it is at a certain point of no return in terms of peace. One has to go for war without thinking of all the extreme consequences, but material consequences, but having faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, on behalf of whom one fights for the principles of Dharma. So, this kind of, when a ruler, a Kshatriya, has to do his duty, a Kshatriya king is a representative of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the Supreme Personality of Godhead has set up the rules of Dharma and Adharma for existence of people on this earth, and to protect that, to ensure that people follow that, and to destroy those who try to work against it is a duty of a Kshatriya on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So without any fear, one should execute one's duty, because if one goes into too much of, certain amount of calculation is required in war, but if you depend only on calculation, that is strategic thinking, that is fine. But as far as the decision to fight or not has to come from faith in the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that He is behind Dharma always. He is behind right always. It does not matter how strong the opponent is immaterial. Always, there is one quote of Prabhupada, somebody sent me yesterday, very nice quote, where it is not about people not having Bhishmadev was a great devotee of the Lord. This is 1.9.16 purport. But he chose to fight against the Pandavas by the will of the Lord, because the Lord wanted to show that a fighter like Bhishma cannot win on the wrong side. Even though Bhishma was one of the Mahabhagavatas. So, after a certain point, there is no, you should not calculate materially, but one should execute one's duty. As we have done in our war against injustice to Srila Prabhupada in his movement of depriving the followers of Srila Prabhupada, the followers of the teachings of Srila Prabhupada, from having a direct Diksha connection as desired by Srila Prabhupada. So, does not matter the strength this way, that way. We have to simply execute our duty depending upon the Supreme Lord. So here it is said that Maharaj Pritu maintained that he could uphold everyone by his own mystic powers. See, we are talking about Mother Earth, and as per the modern science, the Earth is, staying in its orbit because of gravitation. And Prabhupada says here that Pritu Maharaj possessed the power of Shankarshana, which is explained by the scientists as power of gravitation. So when we hear, it's a very, our perception of even material world, material existence is very, very naive. Hardly we know anything about the material world. But modern godless science has created such a hype that science explains everything. Through science, I want to explain God. You cannot explain God through your science. We can explain God, we can explain this universe through the science of Bhagavatam, the science of receiving the knowledge, perfect knowledge from the perfect source through the descending process, rather than building up knowledge through inputs through our senses and mind and intelligence, creating theories. Such theories may have some result because they are relative truths. Two heavenly bodies, I measure the distance between them and the masses, and then I can explain why Earth is here, why Jupiter is away, why Mars is nearer. All these things I can explain away based on this formula. The force of gravitation is equal to Gmm by r squared. Gm1 m2 by r squared. There is a gravitation constant. Mass of one heavenly body, mass of another heavenly body divided by distance between them squared will give you the force of gravitation. Everything is explained now. Yeah, everything is explained. You are only describing what is happening through a formula. But you do not know what is gravitation. So therefore you made a theory, just like you speculate. And then later on you find out that that is not actual fact. For hundreds of years after the gravitational, Newton made this equation, gravitational force, the equation of gravitational force. So it explained things. Explaining things is not equal to truth. It is as per your senses, this is observation, distance between this and this and this. But what is actually out there, objective truth? So because the scientists got this, formula, the Newton discovered this formula, made this formula. It's not that, they created anything. Before gravitational formula came also, the apples were falling. One day, an apple fell, then Newton asked this question and finally this formula is there. So, now if you see, what does science do? They observe, and then regarding truth, what does it do? Relative truth is okay. Relative truth means what I see with my senses, yes, it matches. Gmm1 m2 by r squared is equal to gravitational force. That is fine. But with respect to what is actually the truth of gravitation, they do not know. Or what is the truth of what is happening between the two heavenly bodies? They do not know. For more than 100 years, they thought there is some invisible force between this body and that body. That is why it is that body. That force is what is defined as F is equal to gm by r squared. They thought so. Naturally, it is very natural to speculate. Aisa kam karta hai. So between this heavenly body and this heavenly body, in between there is one force. That force is equal to this. Just like magnetic force. Two magnets are there, then electromagnet, how they come together, there is actually a force in between. There is a force field in between. Right? So therefore they speculated there is a force field of gravitation. But Newton came in and said, there is nothing in between. There is no force field at all. Formula is same. But the explanation of that, no, there is nothing between them, like in magnetism. The heavenly bodies are attracted together because of the curvature of space. That itself is something new. Newton thought that space is an axiomatic truth. No need for science to explain what is space. Space is there, that's all, he said. But Newton came and said that no, space is an active thing. We also say Akasha. Earth, water, fire, air, ether is created. They are created. That means behind that there is something else. So for hundreds of years, everybody believed that space is like a rigid frame in which so many phenomena are happening. Then Einstein discovered that relativity of theory of relativity. Where in space, not only space is a reality which can change its characters. Time is also a reality. An ontological reality. They call it ontological reality. Ontological reality means not a reality that is in your mind, but a reality that is outside you. Till then people thought time is only something is in the mind that is called sankalpa, right? In Sanskrit. Time is only a sankalpa to explain the motion of particles. Motion of particles. It's only a sankalpa. It is not, it's only a concept in the mind, and it is not an ontological reality. So 100 years or more than 100 years of Newton, Einstein changes everything. That means those 100 years, they never understood what is. Relatively what they understood, they have utilized. Utilizing some science for technology, it does not make that explanation as absolute. If I do this, this will happen. If I do this, this will happen. Oh, now I understood. Now how to put A and B together so that if I do this, it can be used for my benefit, for humanity's benefit. That is technology. Half-truth can also be employed in it. Because as long as cause and effect is studied, they're only studying cause and effect. Science is only studying cause and effect. Science is not studying ultimate cause. Even though science began originally by Aristotle, by all these Western thinkers, rational thinkers, their science was for quest for meaning for everything. Then it narrowed down. Now all scientists, the scientific community accepts that we are not studying the ultimate cause. Who said we are studying the ultimate cause? We are cause 1 to cause B, that's all. Little more, I go little deeper, another cause to another effect. Go little more deeper into the atom, one cause to one effect. That's all. So at least that much it has come to that stage. Only foolish people who are bewildered by science say, no, science, cause of all causes, science will find. Science can never find. They themselves are saying they cannot find. So, for instance, this equation, it's simply an explanation, gravitation. F is equal to G m1 m2 by r squared. All the unexplainable things are there in the G constant. M1, yes, they measured. M2, they measured. R, they measured. G, where it came from? All the things that I do not know constitute that G. Similarly, in science, there are so many constants. Those constants have no explanation. In many of the fundamental equations, the constant comes. They have no explanation. Planck's constant. They do reverse definition. They got a formula, then they define Planck constant by putting 1 as value for all others, and they define the Planck's constant is equal to this unit of energy, this is 1, this is 1. Just like if you want to know what is G, F is equal to G m1 m2 by r squared. Then G is equal to, bring r squared on the top on this side, m1 m2 below, you will get what is G. Now put 1 as a value for all of them, that is G, fundamental constant. But what is it in reality? The truth is that if you tell them, there can be other universes where this G is different number. They cannot say no. There can be another G. This Brahmanda is smallest Brahmanda. Right? 4-headed Brahmanda. G is very small value. There may be so many Brahmandas with G value is very high. So what do we know about existence? Nothing. Even material world we know nothing. Better you accept everything that comes in the descending process of knowledge. So, by seeing that, by hearing these leelas, 14 planetary systems, the earth being threatened to be drowned in the Garbhodaka ocean, all these things, there is Garbhodaka ocean. As if you have got so much capacity to, you have got so much capacity, why don't you go around to all the stars and everything, do a survey and come back and tell? Huh? So man can find out instruments to say so many galaxies are there, so many stars are there, everything. That means, like a child, you give him 10 marbles, please count how many are there, he'll come and say 10. So modern science is like that. Who put the marble there? What the marble is made up of? Why the marble was put there? No explanation. So what we have to understand is, Krishna says, Aham sarvasya prabho mata sarvam pravartate. This is what we are dealing with. We are relating with Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mayadhakshena prakriti suvite sa characharam. Characharam, everything moving, unmoving, everything. Mayadhakshena, by my superintendence it is running. Person and person's power. So this is the Vaibhava of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, he is called Yogeshwara. He is a scientist of all scientists, the supreme scientist. He revealed little science to Einstein, to Bohr, and few people. Little science is revealed to Newton. So this knowledge was available to our Vedic civilization 5,000 years back itself, when Vedavyas put in writing these things. Before that, orally this knowledge has been going on. Now our memory is failing, and we cannot believe that people 5,000 years back, their book was their brain. Just like we have so much confidence. Knowledge is here. Nobody can do anything. Knowledge is here in the book, even if you forget. In those days, the same faith they used to have, knowledge is in my mind. It will not go anywhere. Mind was the book. Memory was the book. It has changed now. Brain has got that capacity to memorize all these things. So what seeing is not believing. This is what we have got into a trap. What I see, seeing is believing. No. Hearing is believing. And what hearing? Hearing from the perfect source is believing. Similarly, all the beliefs in our head we have created by our own speaking, hearing. Hearing is more important than seeing. Seeing knowledge is subordinate to hearing knowledge. Then we see. Hearing perception is fundamental, then seeing perception comes. So we should seek hearing the truth and not seeing the truth. Through hearing the truth, one sees the truth. Not by seeing the truth, one grasps knowledge. This is a fundamental difference in the approach of spiritual seekers, or so many concocted spiritual speakers are there. Those who adopt the descending process of knowledge, that knowledge actually descends into man from a perfect source who is God himself. That's the difference between the modern science and those who want to, if we have to use a word, we can use scientifically understand the absolute truth. Scientifically, you can understand the absolute truth through the descending process, and not that if you have got the courage, if you have got the ability, if you have got all these things, whatever is there, you can go and travel and you can find out. If you have got all that mystic powers, go around and see where are the floating planetary system, where is Garbhodaksha ocean, go and see. If you have got the capacity. Don't have the capacity. So we are given knowledge which is beyond our capacity to directly experience with our five senses. But it is not that interplanetary system, easy journey to other planets, Prabhupada says, not that if these are not truth that are not verifiable. So if you want to only limit yourself to verifiable truths, then you are limiting your existence. I hear from descending process of knowledge that there is Vaikuntha Loka. I hear from descending process of knowledge, the process of approaching the Vaikuntha Loka. I practice that process that is prescribed to go back to Vaikuntha, and I will go back to Vaikuntha. So it's not that simply we believe and sit quiet. These truths are meant for realization. If you require, you can. We are not interested in developing mystic power and going and finding out directly, realizing the 14 planetary system, all that. We are not. Because existence is so wide, we have chosen what? We want to go to Vaikuntha. We want to go back to Godhead. We don't want to go and verify the geography of cosmos. We want straight to go back to. Because it's not, knowledge is not only goal of life. Ananda is the goal of life. Love is the goal of life. Love of Godhead is the ultimate goal of life. Knowledge is a means for that. By knowledge, one cannot be happy. Just like you cannot live by bread alone. Man who can live only by eating. He has got so many other needs. Similarly, man cannot live by this knowledge, all the more this relative knowledge. You need vijnana. It has to be practiced, implemented. Knowledge, jnana is a means for vijnana. Knowledge means only knowing. Vijnana means knowing, feeling, willing. Knowing, feeling and acting as per that feeling. Vijnana means feeling as per that knowing. Thinking, feeling, willing is called experience, complete experience. Simply knowing is not complete experience. Now in this Bhagavatam we are hearing about, knowing about the 14 planetary system, Earth and all the Garbhodaka and all. We are happy now that knowing is enough. Where I will, because from knowing to go to rest, you need to put your efforts. So you have to choose what I want to experience. I want to experience Krishna or I want to experience the material cosmos. It's all temporary. What is the use of knowing all that? I want eternity, knowledge and bliss. So I will work towards realization of that jnana that Krishna gives in the Bhagavad Gita. That jnana, when realized, then it delivers my intrinsic, inner, deep hunger for Satta, Chitta and Ananda. Any questions? So basically, we have to understand one thing, not to be bewildered by this science. It's a very limited, the present modern science is a very limited vehicle of gaining relative knowledge. It has nothing to do with the ultimate truth, ultimate cause. It cannot, because it's all based on imperfect senses. Yes?
Prabhu, in various conversations in Mayapur, Srila Prabhupada also wanted to demonstrate Vedic cosmology, right? About the 14 planetary systems like that. So, kindly help us understand what is the relevance of it now. In the sense, like, you said now, we need not put our energy in developing the knowing, feeling, willing about experiencing.
No, we not put effort in realizing. Whatever Bhagavatam is teaching, that knowing we should know. Because knowing also has its own value. Knowing has its value that you cannot know. You cannot know God's creation. It's so vast, so expansive. So, if Prabhupada wanted the Vedic cosmology, as it is described in Srimad Bhagavatam, to be represented in some way in the Vedic planetarium. So, that doesn't mean that you have to actually relate it to what, because it may not be possible, related to what the modern science knows. Whatever the Shastra says you represent there, so that instead of reading and understanding, pictorially or in 3D, you can show the Bhuloka, Swargaloka and all these things. then Vaikuntha Lokas, Brahmandas, Kala, all as it is described. So that when people go there, they understand that two things. Either they understand everything from related to what they know about cosmology, modern cosmology, or they have to conclude that what we know is only ABC of the cosmos. You see, just like this, not even ABC. When you take a paragraph and you read, it's all made up of letters, right? A to Z. If you do not know A to Z, can you read one word? Can you read one paragraph? Can you make out any sense out of it? Right? In the same way, the basic cosmology and our cosmology is such a huge gap is there between this, because the process itself is different. That means their ABC is different, and the Vedic description of cosmology's ABC is different. Just like if you learn Kannada, it does not necessarily mean that you will understand English purport. Oh no, I know Kannada, let me read it. No, you have to learn English, ABC. Similarly, the ABC of cosmology, Dvipa, planet, like this very fundamental itself description that is there, the ABCs that are there in the Vedic cosmology, is a different language. It's a different language. Now, it is quite possible that the modern science, modern cosmology, somewhere they can link up with, in other words, some of the things will prove the veracity of part of this Vedic cosmology. And then they get a clue. Then the modern cosmology, modern science, because both are material knowledge. Modern science, modern knowledge, modern science will also start entering into this understanding. Oh, now we understand what is the classification on which the Vedas have said this way. Just like Prabhupada says, modern, even Western world, Western science, Western world understood that earth was flat. Their only theory of earth was it was flat. But the earth is a goal, is known to in left, right, center, everywhere in our Shastras. Is it not? They found out earth is a goal only few hundred years back or 1,000 years back. But we knew earth is a goal. How do you know? Because no instruments were there. That is why they say the earth is a flat. Just by observing, see it's flat. You can go on and on and on and on. You will not find an end. Arey, good explanation. You start walking. Go, 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 go. The earth is not ending. So it is flat. Some explanation mind has to be given. That was their science. Because you cannot, the earth doesn't end therefore. But we knew, the Vedic knowledge gave that the earth was gold. All the planets are described. Planets are described as Dvipa. Dvipa means what? Island, right? It is an island in space or not? Surrounded by space. Every planet is an island in space. So, that is, we have full faith that these things, sometime if possible, it can happen, that can become a major impact in the modern world. When any of these truths are, that's why Prabhupada established this Bhaktivedanta Institute. And these things, just like Newton, Einstein, it's not general knowledge. It comes to some specific individuals, empowered Vaishnava, who is a scientist. And he will come up with that connection between modern science and what the Vedas are saying, between modern understanding of material energy and relationship with earth, water, fire, air, ether, all these things. The relationship between, the whole thing is that our entire Bhagavatam science is based on consciousness. Consciousness is fundamental. Consciousness is the one who perceives earth, water, fire, air, ether. So consciousness. And consciousness is missing in the modern science. In their explanation, consciousness is missing. By definition, objective means there is no consciousness. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जाए, विश्व गुरु शील प्रभुपाद की जाए.